Hello, you're listening to the Buzz Adams Morning Show on 95.5 KLAQ. As you know, 2022 is the year of live shows coming to El Paso, and on March 27th, we got a big one coming to the Rock House. The Still Panicking Tour featuring Fire from the Gods, Blind Channel, Kingdom Collapse, Above Snakes, and of course, From Ashes to New. Known for such hit songs like Through It All, Crazy, Panic, and a ton of great covers. And joining us live on the show, rapper and keyboardist and one of the founding members from the band, Matt Brandyberry. What's up, Matt?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm doing great. I'm really excited to know that you guys are coming back to El Paso. It's been a long time, man.
Yeah, it's been really, really long. Actually, I don't even remember the last time, but we toured a lot, so I don't remember a lot of last time.
I think the last time you guys were here was back in 2018. You guys were opening up for Papa Roach at Speaking Rock.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it was a great show, man. It's outside at the casino is pretty dope. Yeah, that was a good show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So since you guys just started the Still Panicking Tour a few days ago, I figured I'd ask, how is the tour? You guys are back on the road. I've seen a lot of fans post online, on Twitter, on Instagram. Looks like a lot of people missed you guys and missed seeing you live.
It's been crazy, honestly, and that's no pun to our song, but it's just been nuts, man. You know, we didn't know what to expect coming out here. It's our first headlining tour since 2018. You know, the houses are packed every night, multiple sold-out shows. People are just showing up, man, and, you know, we couldn't be more grateful. We like I said, we didn't know what to expect, and this has exceeded our expectations in every way possible.
I can imagine. Did you guys have to do anything differently to prepare for the tour, perhaps maybe differently from the last couple times you've gone on tour?
Well, the last time for sure, because the last time we had to have tons of COVID protocol in place. So, I mean, that was obviously different. And, you know, we tried to avoid COVID at all costs. Still pretty hot time in the moment, and it didn't work. So, you know, the preparations were definitely different. This time we kind of went into it with it is what it is attitude, you know what I mean? And so far so good. Everything's been great, and you know, the preparations have panned out, and everyone's just out here enjoying life, and it just feels good to be back to, you know, some type of normalcy out here.
Absolutely. You know, you brought up the pandemic, and it was a really crazy time for everybody. And this tour is named after the last studio album you guys did, Panic, which was released in August of 2020. Am I right?
Yep.
And the song was recorded before the pandemic. So my question is, were you guys just kind of predicting the future when you wrote that song? Because it almost kind of was released at a really, really right time, don't you think?
Yeah, honestly, man, it's weird how it all came together, because, you know, a lot of the songs, too, when you listen to them, you're like, man, was that prophetic? And
yeah.
if you listen to our previous albums, you kind of get this sense of prophetic as well. And I think that really it's just, you know, we've all kind of been in that headspace leading up to whatever happens next, and it just so coincidentally goes together. And, you know, Panic was what we were naming it before the panic, the widespread panic set in, and it just almost in a good way, in the most morbid way possible, ended up fitting our vision. So would we have rather have it not fit our vision? Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, it did, and here we are, and you know, Panic, the song, is one of our biggest hits.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to Matt Brandyberry, the rapper and keyboardist from Ashes to New, who will be here in El Paso March 27th at the Rock House, 9820 Montana. And you grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I imagine you grew up a lot around music. You know, did you have a musical family, maybe a musical background growing up?
Yeah, you know, my parents were in the choir, and I grew up in a church household. Like, it was a very Christian household. I was only allowed to listen to certain things, do certain things. You know, my life was a lot different than most of my friends, and, you know, I spent a lot of time in church growing up, and you know, just going to church musicals and any types of concerts the church would have or anything like that. You know, I spent a lot of time around that. I'm not sure that that's what influenced me to do what I do today. I would say that Eminem is probably a bigger influence in what I do today. But you know, they definitely had, you know, musical parents and family and just people that loved music around me pretty much at all times.
Yeah, you started off playing piano. Is that correct too?
Actually started off playing string bass. I got into piano and other instruments along. Yeah, but that's not in any of my researchable history. so you're the first to hear it.
Oh, really? We're getting a KLAQ exclusive right here.
There it is, man.
Well, that being said, do you think we can ever hear a song with you playing some string bass on it?
No, I don't think I've played string bass since 5th grade, man.
Oh.
I mean, if you want to, we could try and train wreck our way through it. But,
You know what? Knowing you guys, I don't think it's going to be a train wreck. I think it's going to be a smash hit, personally, because you guys can do so much and so much right.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I look back at like playing string bass, and I'm like, now I'm like, I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, I did good without frets. Now, I play guitar and everything now, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense. But like back then, I didn't need frets. What happened to me?
That actually kind of transitions into my next question. You play bass, you play guitar, you play keyboards, you sing, you rap extremely well. So my question is, and it's kind of a serious question, is there anything you can't do, man? You can do like so much.
100%, man. I can't drum.
You can't drum?
No, I'm terrible on drum kit. Awful. I can give you one quick little beat, and that's about it. That's all you get, and the rest of it is just a nightmare. I can write them a little bit. I can make sense out of them if I'm writing them, but if you want me to play them, game over.
Well, you know what? Being a drummer, it's a lot of fun, but there is a lot of technique, a lot of hard work you got to dedicate to it. But you know what? When you make the time to practice and to learn something, you can totally do it.
Yep, absolutely. You can do anything. I just never made the time for drums.
Well, you never know. Anything can happen.
Well, I like to think that Maddie holds it down enough for me to not have to worry about it anymore.
He plays the grooves, you sing on top,
yeah, man.
And everything is golden right there.
That's right, man.
So at what point in your life did you decide that, you wanted to follow your dreams in music? Someone performing on stage and you're like, that's what I want to do.
I get that question quite often, and I don't really have a solid answer for it. I don't know that there was ever a moment where it was like seeing someone on stage or something like that and said, that's what I have to do. I guess that I just really liked the idea. Like when I was about 14, 15 years old is when I first wrote my first really terrible rap. And I just kind of liked the idea of being able to rhyme words. It was just so crafty to me. I just thought it was so clever. And I got into Bone Thugs and Harmony straight out of my Christian years, so it was very, very, it was a culture shock to my parents. They're like, what just happened to our child? So, I got into the whole idea of rapping really fast, and, I would print the lyrics out off the internet and rap along with them just to see if I could do it. And then, that just interested me into trying to write my own, see if I could do it on my own. And, one thing led to the next. I got told when I was younger that I shouldn't rap because I was just a corny little white kid from a suburban town. So then I picked up a guitar. I was like, well, then I'm going to be in a rock band. Because at that point I had found, bands like Linkin Park, Seven Dust, Korn, Papa Roach, go down the list. So I was like, all right, I'm going to play guitar in a band then. So then I picked up guitar, and that's kind of how I started learning different instruments too. Is I just, learn how to program a computer, learn how to do, do all these different things. I was in local bands, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to put everything, all the stuff that I know together and just start writing my own music. And that's when From Ashes to New was born. So there wasn't really a moment in time where I was like, I have to do that. It was just, I think one little piece at a time was like I got interested in something and started doing it until I was interested in almost everything and put it all together in the end.
So it was a combination of so many things. And you guys have been around for such a long time. I would say right now, you're definitely up there with bands like Papa Roach, POD, Bad Wolf, Stone Sour. You get thrown into the mix of these great bands, and you say From Ashes to New, and people go like, oh yeah, those guys. So what would you say is the moment for a band you guys can say, I think we've made it, guys?
I think this tour is the moment.
This tour right here.
Yeah, this tour right here, man. Like I said, we didn't know what to expect going into it. And I think that we've unintentionally always kept our expectations low. And now I'm seeing that may have been a mistake all along. And then when it comes to creating your own future and paving your own path, that we should have always been high on ourselves rather than trying to take kind of the middle ground. And I think that this tour has really been an awakening for us to look and go, okay, people really do love what we're doing. And, we should love it as much as them if we already don't, because there's a sense of jadedness that really kicks in when you're in this industry at some point. And, I think that we all hit that wall. And going into this newest record that's not out yet, and we don't have a release date for yet, but going into this newest record, we kind of threw all that behind us and decided that we were just going to make music for us, and we were going to go back to what made this special for all of us. And I think that, the mixture between that and this tour being as great as it is already, we can see that our future is very bright. It's set up to be very successful. And, we might be in these clubs today, but then I just want to tell anybody who's listening, this is a band that's on the rise and is set to go to the top. And I know it, and I can feel it in my heart. And I just know that if you want to catch us in the intimate venue, do it now, because it's not going to be much longer before we're in arenas.
Absolutely, man. And on that note, the Still Panicking Tour comes to El Paso March 27th to the Rock House, along with Fire from the Gods, Blind Channel, Kingdom Collapse, and Above Snakes. And from what you're telling us, it's going to be a great show. And, last year wasn't exactly the best year, but you guys did manage to stay productive, because you recorded not one, not two, but 3 EPs. The Quarantine Chronicles Volumes 1 through 3. A lot of great covers, a lot of great originals. So was there a particular song or songs or covers that when you guys completed it, you all went, yeah, this is what we were looking for?
Yeah, it was an accident, actually. The whole thing started as we had the record Panic done going into 2020, and our record label was like, well, we're not going to release an album during a pandemic because we want to converge it with a tour, which is usually how people release albums. So, we were like, all right. And of course, it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? So,
right.
So that was the first the first inclination we had. We were like, okay, it's fine. We'll wait. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we're like, what are we going to do? There's no end in sight here. So we got to talking, and so many people had requested us to do Linkin Park covers. Of course, we sound like the genre that Linkin Park is in, and there's only 4 other bands in the history of bands that actually do what we do. So we get the comparisons all the time. So we were like, all right, whatever, we'll do a Linkin Park song for the fans. They want it. So we did a Linkin Park song, and then we put it out, and people just loved it. So then we were like, you know what, we'll give the fans an opportunity to request some covers for us to do while we're doing this lockdown. So, we just kept doing them. Fans kept requesting them. We kept putting them up because we didn't have anything else to do. We recorded everything remotely because we weren't in the same areas of the country. And then we finally got the clearance to release the record anyway, so we released the record during 2020 as well. And then we had all this material going into 2021. We were just like, you know what? Why don't we just put all this material together, try to get clearance for these covers, and put them out, on streaming platforms for the fans to have while nothing's going on. And that was our lockdown. Stay as productive as possible by accident.
And I think for a lot of artists who couldn't go out and do shows, that probably was the best way to handle the lockdown, the pandemic. Just try to write as much as you can. Take the time you have not for granted. And you guys definitely did not take that time for granted. Yeah,
we try not to. It's tough though, man, because like I said, if it's not the industry leading or you to some form of feeling jaded, a pandemic definitely helps.
Right.
So it's it's tough, man. It's tough to stay motivated. And I know that's that way with everything in life. It's not just that way with musicians and music. And, it's tough to stay motivated when it feels like almost everything is hopeless.
Exactly.
But, I've been saying on stage a lot, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And even if there's a room full of people that's half full, I'm not going to look at that room and say, oh, this room's half empty. I wish there were more fans here to, be part of this experience. I'm going to look at the room and say it's half full, and I'm grateful that the people that are there. And I think that's the way that I approach everything in life is I'm just grateful for the opportunities that I have regardless. I'm grateful to get up in the morning and put shoes on my feet because there's some people in this world that can't do that.
Right,
exactly. So, you know what I mean? So that's the way I approached it, and I'm just glad that we got through it.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're glad that you guys are going to come down here. It's been such a long time, too. There's one thing you brought up about the Linkin Park covers. I know whenever I go see the videos on YouTube, you see so many people say that Chester would have loved this. You guys are keeping the name of Lincoln Park alive. How do you feel kind of being, I suppose, the carriers of the torch for Chester in that sense?
I mean, I love the comparisons. It's an honor because they're one of my favorite bands, and I always say they're arguably one of the greatest bands of all time. And some people get upset at that, but I mean, their history and their track record doesn't lie. So I mean, you can't really lie with their numbers, and you can't really lie with the lives that band has changed. So it's an absolute honor to get the comparisons. For us, we love it, and now that we've shown that we can honor such a great band and that, like you said, carry the torch, like it's our time to show that we can also be that big. We can also be that successful, that our lyrics also resonate that much, and that our music has a place of its own in the time now, the future, and history. So, and that's kind of that's where our minds are now, and that's where we're headed.
That's really awesome, man. And I know we're approaching a break right now. We got to wrap up our interview pretty soon, and I'm loving this, man. I'm loving this conversation with you, Matt. You've got such an amazing mindset, and honestly, after everything that happened since 2020, we really need that positivity, man. I think a lot of people really do need to see that.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel the same way, man. You know, and I feel like, you know, I don't ever get political because everyone's got just a different background, but I do feel like the idea of tearing people down and ruining people's outlook on life and making things negative, I do feel like that's all by design. And I feel like it's a slippery slope, and it's a rabbit hole that sometimes we dive down, and you know, we're all guilty of it. Even the most positive people on the planet are guilty of going down that road, and it's really hard to get out of that road sometimes, you know, off that path. And I don't want to go down there anymore.
Exactly.
And even though there's 2020 and 2021, and who the hell knows what the future's going to hold with the way things are going, you know what I mean? But it's like, I started falling down that road during all this, man, you know, reading the news all the time, getting mad and doing all this. And it's like, as much as I would love to think that I can control all of those things, I can't. So I'm just going to approach life with the mentality that I'm going to control what I can control. And everything else, if it falls in line, it's great. If it doesn't, then I guess I'll have to see what I got to do when I get there. But right now, I'm just going to take our path to the top of where we can go.
Exactly. It's all about building up, not tearing down.
Yeah, man.
Actually, one more question I wanted to ask. You guys posted on Twitter about the fourth studio album. That quote, doesn't sound like anything the industry has to offer, but still sounds the best version of us. Can you give us just a little sneak peek on maybe what we can expect for this record in terms of sound?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's us. You know, I mean, it sounds like From Ashes to New, but it sounds like the best version of ourselves. And that's what we went into this album. You know, we went into the album with the mindset of not trying to write within a box of what the industry, meaning like record labels or, you know, any of the executives would want from us, but just going in and doing what we want to do. And we didn't go in thinking, oh, well, we should sound like this because this band is doing this, and this is what's working, and this is what's happening. You know, we didn't care about any of that. We went in and said, you know what, we're just going to create the best version of who we are. And, you know, the reason why I said that it doesn't sound like anything the industry currently has to offer is because I feel like there are certain bands that are trendsetters in every side of the industry, not just in the rock side of the industry, but every side of the industry there are artists that are trendsetters. And not knocking on any bands because there's a lot of great bands that sound really good, but they all seem to kind of follow those particular trendsetters, and everything starts to sound the same. And then, you know, then you go through a period where everything sounds the same, and then everyone gets bored, and then that trendsetter does something different, and then everyone follows it. Well, you know, we've been guilty of that. Not in its entirety, but, you know, I think that every band has a little, shares a little guilt in following the trendsetters. And for me, I don't see the purpose. Like, people would always ask, like, Matt, who's your idol? And I mean, I guess if you forced me by way of putting a gun to my head, I would say Eminem. But I mean, I don't really have an idol because I don't idolize human beings. So, like, for me, I just feel like we're all equals, and whoever has is at the top just has a really cool job. Like, that's kind of the way that I've always viewed it. So to be someone who became guilty of following a trendsetter, kind of like I woke up over the course of the past year and just said, what am I doing? Like, I am a trendsetter. I don't need to follow a trend. I need to create one. So for me, and the band, we just decided that we were just going to do the best possible version of ourselves. And it just so happens to sound very original. It sounds like From Ashes to New, like people would really expect what the best version of it. And I just know that it's going to be one of those things where people hear it and they're going to go, oh man, this is something that I needed. This is different than anything that's happening right now. And I just know in my heart, I know it's going to be huge. So we're excited, man, but we don't have a release date, so I can't give any more info.
No, you know what? You gave us a lot, and we appreciate that. We appreciate your time, Matt. Go see From Ashes to New. Coming down to El Paso, March 27th to the Rock House, 9828 Montana. The Still Panicking tour that also features Fire from the Gods, Blind Channel, Kingdom Collapse, Above Snakes. And if you want to get your tickets now, they are available at eventbrite.com. Matt, thank you so much for your time, man. We are looking forward to seeing you on the 27th, bro.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a sick show.